Hello everyone. This is Omar. I have a reactionary video to the one and only Bill Maher, that piece of shit on HBO. Bill Maher is living in a dilemma, as you know. He is being groomed by the right wing or the right side of politics, and he's slowly moving there, but he doesn't know how. So he's torn between the two parts. As you know, there's a training ground for being groomed, and that is on the Joe Rogan show. Let me show you the ones before him. Can we show you the ones before him? So the whole idea is, let me give you a background. When you go on Joe Rogan, anybody, it doesn't matter, you pick up a new fan base or bump, and that fan base is usually a little bit tilted to the right or more conservative or more from. So during the COVID-19 lockdown, a couple of times that Bill Maher went on the Joe Rogan show, and he did the Joe Rogan show, and he started selling tickets in places he never did, like in Alabama, Mississippi, because he's been liberal all his life. So his usual shtick is, Miami, Las Vegas. That's it, Miami, Las Vegas, California, New York, where he feels he's in his own environment. So the more he became brazen on his show, it's called Real Time with Bill Maher, that comes on HBO. Every week he will do a small segment on playing shock on the woke culture. I cannot stand. I'm a liberal, but these people have gone far enough. What are they doing? They've gone crazy. They're gone, and he'll do like new rules, like it's a 5-minute segments, and he was doing it every week. Every week, people saying, "What's going on with Bill Maher?" The whole idea, he was getting traction. He was getting a reaction from the people that he just picked up, and they're more loyal. I'm going to be honest with you. Right wing or conservative followers or subscribers are the best and they're the most loyal people you can find, and they chase you and they'll support you and they lift you up and they write comments. So you have no choice but to pay attention to them. You understand? Probably I would do the same thing if I ever go on Joe Rogan show. You never know. So he started getting, on Fox News. They started talking about him on their website. Comics likes attention. The worst thing you could do to a comic is not laugh at his joke. If Bill Maher went into a place, there's like 50 people, and the old guy that does not laugh at any of his jokes, he'll fucking have a heart attack. He'll probably go back on stage and kill himself. So let's look at the other people that have been groomed and have left the liberal side of things. Yeah, there's a lot, but Joe Rogan is always the. Let's start. Who's this? Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore was always forced to vote, liberal, Bernie Sanders, everything. Now he hates Bernie Sanders. He started having these anti-vaccine shows. He started because every time he get a reaction and there's money to be made, and he said, fuck it. He was groomed. He goes on Fox News. He goes, the most amazing thing about Jimmy Dore is that Jimmy Dore, he'll go on fucking Tucker Carlson and yell and scream for like 3 or 4 minutes, make a fool out of himself, while Tucker Carlson's like, probably masturbate under the table because he feels good. He got this asshole to go nuts on his show. The second person, let me see if I can find one. Who is it? Oh, still Jimmy Dore? Excuse me, I'm not the. Okay, let's go this. Well, it's all Jimmy Dore, looks like, guys. Okay, let me see. I think I did it wrong. What happened? Okay, and there's Tulsi Gabbard. Sorry for that. Tulsi Gabbard, she ran for president as a Democrat. She's slowly but surely. Now she's on Fox News almost every night, yelling and screaming. The other person is, who's the other person? My memory is like a shot, I have no memory, man. This COVID-19 killed I got this memory fog from COVID. Anyway, there's a lot of other people that went to the show, and Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin went a couple times. All of a sudden, I left, but he's a grifter anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They're all grifters at the end of the day. So let me see if I can move this around. Let me get this out of here. Okay. So I don't want to bore you to death. I spent 4 minutes talking about something that you don't want to talk about. So Bill Maher goes on the Howie Mandel podcast with his daughter. Now, remember, he's stuck between two places. He wants to please the right and please the left. So he has to be careful of the language that he picks and says in order not to offend his new fan base or his old fan base. And let's look at it. And he's, let's go. Okay. Is this it? Come on, Omar. Okay, here goes.
I don't believe in collective guilt of any kind. I'm an individual. I'll take responsibility for what I do or what I've done. I don't like the term privilege. I think it's used way too much. I certainly understand why some.
Now, I want you to know why he just said he doesn't like the word collective blame, whatever he wants to say. He is alluding to the idea of CRT, critical race theory. So, he is right now, he's virtual signaling to these boys. He's telling them, I don't believe in condemning a whole society for the action of the view. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying for people to blame other people. Nobody's saying that. You know, you gotta be smarter than me. Nobody's saying that. So let's go. Let's continue. See how dumb he gets through the whole thing.
Struggling coal miner, when you hear some rich white kid talk about privilege, it's obnoxious.
But we do. You will acknowledge the fact that you and I have white privilege.
I will not. I will call it advantage. Have I?
You see how he's an asshole? You see how he's being an asshole? He wants to call it advantage instead of white privilege because he doesn't want to offend that other base that he has. So he has to play these word games. So I went to the dictionary. We're going to go back there. Let's look at the first word. Okay, what is this? Okay, advantage and what it means. Look at that. I'm such an idiot. Okay, hold on. Forgive me if you can. Let me get rid of this. You know, okay. No. Oh, it's not even hiding. Hide. Okay. A condition or circumstance that puts one in a favorable or superior position. That advantage is worse than the white privilege. Now let's see what white privilege is. Inherent advantage possessed by a white person on the basis of their race in a society characterized by racial inequality and injustice. I'll be the first to add that I'll do benefit. Okay. Now remember these words. What it says on the basis of their races in a society characterized by racial inequality. He's going to say the same shit later on in the show. I'm going to remind you. Let's bring the boy back up there. Oh, now you go up. All these idiots I want to go. Okay.
I had advantages for being white. I'm sure I have.
Well, that's semantics.
What's the difference between privilege and advantage to you?
Can I explain?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Advantage means like when I was starting out in the early 80s when we were comics.
Right.
Could there have been a moment where I was up against a black comic to get a job at the Chuckle Hut in Cleveland, and the comedy owner said, okay, let's go with the white guy,
right,
because we'll probably do a little more ticket sales on Saturday night. I mean, this is 1980 after all.
Right.
That could have happened. Absolutely.
And that's not
that would
privilege?
Well, it's an advantage. I don't what
the fuck with the word
it's
advantage?
It's a privilege.
See, but that's the problem in today's society. A word.
He's just making up the fucking word. I never heard of the word advantage. It doesn't matter. Even white privilege, I don't give a damn. But be honest with your audience. Don't try to play these mumbo jumbo with words, man. He's a fucking the most piece of shit on TV. You see what he's doing? No, it's an advantage. Every time he's contradicting himself every time he talks, but he'll still resort and he'll come up with this hocus pocus bullshit later on. Let's listen. All right? Good.
You know, is the and even why we're getting canceled, it's perception over content. So the perception of privilege to you is different than the perception of advantage. The advantage is when you are a white guy and you are pulled over in the middle of the night, and
yes, that's an advantage.
And I have the privilege of just not having to worry.
He's still with the fucking word advantage because he knows if he says the word white privilege, he's afraid he might lose his new audience. These are hypocrites, man. This is a guy who's 65 years old. He has no kids. He has no wife. He's a multimillionaire. When he dies, he's going to give the money to California or some other state he dies in. And he's still holding on to being a hypocrite and not being honest with himself. Just say the word. I never heard of the word, oh, I have an advantage over black people. Of course, you'll have a white privilege. You're white, and sometimes indirectly people will treat you better. It doesn't have to be like something an advantage. It's true. It does happen every day, man. It's a natural thing.
About being, my friends who are
well, that's not true either.
What?
Oh,
I mean, how many people do you think the police shoot?
He's throwing that number just to confuse Howie Mandel, like he knows a lot of shit. But he's gonna fuck up his own argument. Watch at the end.
Here.
I don't know.
See? So you're talking out of your ass.
Yeah.
Well, tell me.
1,000.
Okay.
They shoot about 1,000 people a year.
Okay.
How many of that are white people?
Tell me.
So again, we're having this discussion, but you're so sure of yourself, you don't even know the stats.
Why does that stat?
Because you're talking about how much you have to worry about.
I have to worry. My friends who are black, who are married and raising kids.
Watch when he gives a percentage how he beats his own fucking argument. Watch. He defeats himself. He's contradicting himself by being an asshole. He's trying to serve two masters. You can't serve two masters, man. You got to be honest with yourself, man.
Kids.
Right.
Here's what this is
Absolutely.
my personal experience. My personal experience when I took my kids out and they got their driver's license,
Right.
I was worried about them driving safely, and
Right.
those are the discussions I had.
Absolutely.
Don't speed and don't take somebody. My black friends have to have an added discussion
I agree.
that I've never had with
Absolutely.
my kids. If you get pulled over by the cop, make sure that your hands are there.
Right.
Don't reach for anything.
Okay.
So isn't that privilege?
Okay. Again, let's not talk about. Let's.
You just
let's
doesn't like that
I
word.
like the word advantage better. There's something about privilege that just is. It bleeds into something that gets a little ridiculous.
Advantage, I think, is a harsher thing.
He's right.
I think it's a realer thing.
I think you guys are talking about the same thing, and you
Kind
don't
of.
want to use it because
Yeah, but
of
kind
the
of.
connotation of it that's attached to it.
See how smart that girl is? She just don't want to say it. She's saying, Bill Maher, you're just scared you might lose your new fan base. If you say white privilege, you might alienate a couple thousand of your new fan base. That's what it is. She's smart, that girl. Good.
Okay, but let's get back to the police.
Okay.
They shoot about 1,000 people each.
Okay, watch
Right,
it.
right.
Watch it.
Now, in a country of 340 million people,
Okay.
a lot of whom are crazy and a lot of whom are armed, I don't know if that's like a ridiculous number. There are some people the police do have to shoot.
What percentage are white?
3/4.
Okay.
More white. Wow.
But since blacks are only 14% of the population, that's almost
So they're twice as likely to get shot by the police than white people. And you see, he just fucked up his own argument. This is the dumbest motherfucker on HBO. You see what he just did? I like how he got a better brain than he does. Watch what Howie says. Watch.
twice the percentage of
White.
what it would be.
Right.
Okay,
So there's a problem.
there's a problem. But police also have many more encounters with black people.
Watch. He's going to beat his own argument again because he's going to say later on, because he's saying right now that the police have more encounter with black people. I say that black people are committing more crimes. But he's going to answer his own fucking question later on when he says that blacks are more likely to be stopped by police. I'm telling you, this guy is a piece of shit.
So you have to figure in all these things.
You also have to figure out the disadvantages that lead to more
Correct.
people of color living in poverty, living in
Absolutely.
these situations where
Correct.
they have worse schooling. There's
Yes.
all these systematic
Yes.
things that lead to that. That
Yes,
then lead
points
to
I was making when you were in the crib.
I'm not
so-
that young.
Okay.
He's, you know, when you go to a brothel and you have that old whore, you know, the old lady, the lady that's been in a brothel like for 20 years, she's like 55, going on 60. And she's trying to say, listen, I've been talking about this when he was still in the crib or whatever. Like he knows more than she does. He's stuck in this conversation. He knows there's no way out. He got himself stuck in this conversation. Howie is asking a real question. Howie doesn't have a dog in this fight. He's being honest, as most honest as you can be. While this asshole is trying to be deceptive. So, you know, I've been talking about this for years before you were born. Like the old lady, the old in the brothel, when everybody talks, oh, I remember during the Great Depression, where they have to give us grain to come into the ranch. Good.
Okay, but I'm just saying I've been all over this territory forever.
Right, yeah, right.
You know, it's not like I'm
She taught in inner city. She
It's not
taught
like
in
I'm-
Crenshaw. She's
oh,
a teacher
okay.
from
Yeah.
Crenshaw.
Yeah, of course. There's a giant legacy
Yeah.
of racism and the horrendous sorry history of America with race.
Yeah.
And that goes into it. But when a policeman is out or woman is out doing their job, that doesn't really figure in. They're just dealing with what's going on right now.
Well, listen, every time I see an officer anywhere,
But-
on any set, I thank them for their service. I
Right.
believe,
Yeah.
and I think they're incredibly brave. And I think, you know, the one thing that we're missing in society, and whether it's to police officers or teachers or friends or people who have different political opinions and ideas, is we have lost respect. There is no more respect. You don't have to respect. You know, if you're
Sound like Rodney Dangerfield. Got no respect.
not like me and you don't think
Yeah.
like me, then you're an idiot.
Right.
You know, and
No, and back to the police for just for a second.
Okay.
I think even to this day, I think it is true that black folks do have to worry more about being stopped. And those are the stats on who gets shot by the police.
Wait.
Roughed up, in other words, put your hands on people, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That is way more done to people of color than white people.
okay.
So yes, so there is still advantage to being white.
See, he cannot say that word, white privilege. This is a fucking asshole. He just picked that word out of his ass to try to sugarcoat white privilege. We're not saying that white privilege really does exist. White privilege is about 10% of the population, or maybe 5%. Most of white people are fucking poor as fuck. They don't have any real privileges, but sometimes they get a break. You know, they get stopped. You go ahead, kid, don't do it again. You know, We're not talking about real like opportunities, like job, like in the stock market. That's where the problems really are.
No
I'll
doubt.
buy your word. I'll
doubt.
take away privilege and use
Right.
advantage.
No doubt about it. What I'm always trying to say is, let's just first of all get the numbers right. You know, let's not just pull it out of our ass.
I didn't pull your numbers out.
No. I'm just saying, but people do. They just have a feeling.
We got the numbers. You told us three quarters of white, which are they are probably what 70% of the population, and 25% of black get killed by police a year. So they're twice as likely to get killed. So your own numbers are really hurting you. His own numbers are fucking hurting him, and he continues to talk out of his ass. Maybe when he's high, he's much better than this.
About it. I mean, if you ask the average MSNBC listener,
right,
how many unarmed black people do you think the police kill a year? They'd probably say 50,000. Or
nobody thinks that 50,000. That's a fucking war. We lost 60,000 in Vietnam. You are still making a fool of yourself. No motherfucking person with the right mind will even think that 50,000 people are getting killed. 50,000 black people are getting killed. Nobody's saying that. Nobody. Are you saying that?
But do they really have to have the fact? Like you've even said, now that you've given us the numbers, somebody with the knowledge. Well, you're saying if you do the calculus, you know, and where you think what percentage of these people based on the population, it is a problem. Yeah. Whether I know the number or not, it is a problem.
Yes, racism is still a problem in America. Right. It's just a different problem and a lesser problem than it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, certainly 50 years ago. I mean, we are moving in the right direction. And if you want to pretend that we're living in 1973, as a lot of people do, I can't go there with you. I always say, let's live in the year we're living in.
Nobody's saying that.
I don't think two white guys sitting here should celebrate where we are on.
Nobody's saying that, Bill Maher. You're saying all that shit on your own. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying that. We're just talking about facts, and you have this issue. Now you're going to be invited to Tucker Carlson to go fucking suck his dick for a couple of minutes. In 6 months, prediction here, in 6 months, Bill Maher will go on TV and say, I didn't leave the left. The left left me. I never left the left. The left, the same thing that Dave Rubin says.
Racism.
And that's a bullshit talking point also, that two white people or three white people can't have a discussion about this, that I am not a sentient being. No, can I understand racism as well as a black person? Of course not. But I'm not without the ability.
You see, he's contradicting himself again and again and again. First, if you say, oh, why can't three white people talk about race? Or do I understand racism like a black person? That's why you need a black person next to you so you can understand where he's coming from. So you could, change ideas. Maybe you learn from him something, and he'll learn from you. You are this is the dumbest segment I've ever seen. Bill Maher is looking like a piece of shit that he is, man. Good.
To see what's going on in the world. And by the way, there's two ways you can not understand something in general. One, by being not close enough to it. Yes, I'm not as close to it as a black person.
Of course, you live in fucking Beverly Hills. You're not close to anything. You live by yourself. You go out with porno stars. I'm gonna tell this fucking business. You're surrounded by bodyguards. You don't have anything with the real world. The only thing you get is every Friday you do that show. Everybody claps like seal and they laugh at your jump jokes. And if they don't laugh, you get mad and start screaming at him. I watch that show. Yeah, by the way, he's an Islamophobic piece of shit
person. And the other way is by being too close to it. People who are too close to something sometimes are blind to it as well. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg said that.
You see, I'm going to explain to you what Whoopi Goldberg meant.
That she thought the Holocaust was not about race. Right. Now, I defended her, right, even though she had attacked me.
Now, in defense of Whoopi Goldberg for the last time, she never meant that it was against Jews. The whole idea in her view, race is black and white. That's the way she's been conditioned in the United States. She's saying that Jews were white and the Germans were white. So it wasn't about race. So in Whoopi's mindset is she sees things in color, the way she's been taught and the way she's been grown up in the United States. We're the only country in the world, a Western society, where we see color as an ethnicity. White. It's not an ethnicity. Black. That's not it. It's a color. It's a fucking color you paint the house with or something or person complexion. It has nothing to do with race, but we have managed to make it and turn it into an ethnicity. So with Whoopi Goldberg, you didn't defend her, you piece of shit. It has nothing to do with defending her. What she meant was, it was very simple, that Jews were white, and she saw it in her eye. That's how she sees things. That they were all white. There was no blacks. That's what she meant. That's all it was. And everybody, and she lost her job for 2 weeks. And come on, man.
Like 2 weeks earlier on something else. Yeah. Because I said, you can't expect to have treated black people the way this country has, decade after decade, century after century, and then not have them have a completely different view on race.
Yeah.
It's not one I agree with. I thought that was a ridiculous comment. The Holocaust wasn't about race. As a Jew, you must be somewhat offended by that. But it's like, I get.
Okay, watch this. Howie Mandel is Jewish, so he's trying to throw Howie Mandel in there. I know you must have been offended as a Jew, Howie. You must have been offended. Look how smart and wisdom is. Look how he answers him.
Why she's coming from that place, and she has every right to
He
say
said-
it, and she should not.
It was just a bad analogy.
She should. It's,
It was just a bad analogy. I mean, she didn't mean no harm. She didn't mean no no malice or anything toward the Jews or what she has. It just, you know what I'm saying? When you hear that, he's honest. That's a dishonest piece of shit. I'm telling you, man, he reminds me of those old ladies in the brothel house.
wasn't an analogy. It was a statement. The Holocaust was not about race, but she has the right to feel that way, and I understand why she feels that way. But it would be an example of someone who maybe is too close to it,
Right.
and so doesn't have what I think is a correct point of view on it.
And then
There's
your
lots of-
network that lost politically incorrect shunned
Yeah.
her for 2 weeks.
There's lots of ways to not have the right answer.
All right, subscribe to the Howie Mandel Show. I don't know him. He doesn't know me, but I like this guy. I think he was honest. You saw that he was dishonest in the whole segment. He's trying to replace the word white privilege and whitewash it with the word what is that? Advantage. It's the same shit. And he goes to contradict himself every single fucking time. Every time he just doesn't want to contradict. He doesn't want to say that word because he knows he has a new fan base and he has to cater to that base. And it's a shame what people do for money. We're not here trying to condemn white people or anything like that. But you have to call things what they are. People do have advantages than others. I could say, if I was in my country, my native land, I'll probably have more advantages than a white person over there, like a job. I'm like, hey, what are you gonna hire this guy? I'm the native here. You understand what I'm saying? Here, you got to be honest with yourself, man. You cannot be a dishonest person all your life, man. He's a dishonest character, man. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this segment. I know I sound like lazy as hell, but I am a little tired. Until I see you next time, take care. This is Omar. Bye-bye.